In this video, I'll be talking about this guy right here, the Sony NEX-6. So this camera is basically identical to the Sony a6000, besides being a few years older and a few $100s cheaper. So what exactly do you get for the $180-ish that the Sony NEX-6 typically sells for on something like eBay? So this camera has a 16 megapixel APS-C sensor. It can shoot photos at up to 10 frames per second. It records 1080p video at up to 60 frames per second. It has a full-sized hot shoe on top, a tilting LCD screen, and it weighs just over 12 ounces. So on paper, this sounds like a pretty feature-rich camera for being under $200, but how does it really perform in real-world use? Actually, pretty well. So first things first, I did an ISO test just to see what ISO ranges are usable, and it looked clean up to 400 ISO. But once you got up to around 800 is when you can definitely start to see quite a bit of noise. And then as you can see, anything up over 3200 is basically unusable, and once you get to 6400, it's basically just mush. Alright, so this is a quick test with the NEX-6. This is the built-in microphones, and I'm using a Sigma 24mm f1.4 lens on it. And a quick thing to note is that this camera does not support autofocus during video with aftermarket lenses like Sigma lenses. It will do it with most Sony native lenses, but with like the lens I have on it right now, the Sigma 24mm, there is no autofocus once you start recording video, which kind of sucks because there's also no flippy screen. So like we're doing this right now, I'm just hoping, I kind of focused it before I recorded, so I hope it's in focus, but that's just something to note, that if you have like Sigma lenses or any aftermarket lenses, there will be no autofocus during video. So yeah, this is using the camera right now and the built-in microphones for audio. So hopefully you can tell, get a little example of what it's like. If you want to see more video footage and pictures and stuff like that, stay tuned. I will be doing more videos on this camera and a more in-depth review and stuff. This is mostly just first impressions, is it worth buying? So anyways, yeah, this is video test, audio test. That's about it. Let's get back to it. So from the moment that I picked up this camera and started using it, I noticed how similar it is to the Sony a6000. And since the a6000 is pretty widely known as one of the best beginner cameras you can buy, the Sony NEX-6 is not far behind it. And for most people, I would honestly recommend the NEX-6 over the a6000, just because for the difference in price, you can buy something like the Sony 16mm f2.8 lens, just using the difference in price between these cameras. And that's a great beginner lens that you can get for around the $100 mark. So yes, the Sony NEX-6 is definitely still worth buying in 2020. At this price point, it's really unbeatable since the a6000 still sells new for like $600, and the only advantage that it really has is that it's a 24 megapixel sensor versus a 16 megapixel sensor. Everything else is almost identical between these two cameras. So I would definitely recommend picking up the Sony NEX-6 in 2020 if you're getting into photography or even some video work. Now, just like the a6000, this does have some setbacks if you want to get into video, like not having a microphone input jack. So for video, it's a little harder to recommend, but for photography, the NEX-6 at its price point is fantastic. So that about wraps this video up. Thank you so much for watching. Definitely go pick one of these cameras up, or any of the Sony NEX cameras. They're all so good for their price point. So feel free to check out my channel if you're looking into getting into an NEX camera, or really any budget camera. That's pretty much what I make my videos about. So feel free to subscribe and check out my other videos, and I'll see you in the next one.